The boy who refused to give up. At the age of 25, Daniel had nothing. No good job, no money in his savings account, no successful career, and no one believed he could change his life. But one morning, Daniel made a decision that changed everything. He decided that he would try one more time. And sometimes one more attempt is all it takes to change your entire life. Daniel grew up in a small town. His family was not rich. His father worked long hours and his mother took care of the family. Since childhood, Daniel had one dream. He wanted to start his own business. He wanted to build something that belonged to him. Whenever people asked him what he wanted to become, he always gave the same answer. I want to become successful. But there was one problem. Daniel did not know how. After finishing school, he tried to find a good job. He applied for one job, then another, then another. But every company rejected him. Some companies said he had no experience. Others said there were better candidates. After months of searching, Daniel finally found a small job in a local store. The salary was low, but he accepted it. He thought, at least I can start somewhere. The first failure. Daniel worked at the store every day. He arrived early, he worked hard, and he saved every dollar he could. After 2 years, he finally had enough money to start a small business. He was excited. He believed his life was finally changing. He rented a tiny shop and started selling handmade products. On the first day, he waited for customers. 1 hour passed, then 2 hours, then the entire day. Only one customer came. The next day, there were 2 customers. The day after that, there were none. Daniel became worried. He had invested almost all his savings, but the business was losing money. After 6 months, he had to close the shop. He stood inside the empty store for the last time. There were boxes everywhere. The shelves were empty and Daniel felt like a complete failure. He went home and told his father, I failed. His father looked at him and quietly said, failing at something does not make you a failure. Daniel did not understand those words at the time. The darkest days. After closing the business, Daniel returned to his old job. But things felt different now. He had lost his confidence. Every morning, he looked at successful people online and compared himself with them. He thought, why can't I be like them? Why does everyone succeed except me? Slowly, Daniel stopped believing in himself. One evening, he sat alone in a park. He looked at the people walking around him. Some were laughing, some were talking with friends, some were going home after work. Daniel felt completely lost. Then he remembered something his father has told him. Failing at something does not make you a failure. For the first time, he started thinking differently. Maybe his first business had failed, but perhaps that did not mean his dream had failed. Maybe he had simply learned what not to do. That night, Daniel made a new decision. He would try again, but this time he would prepare himself first. Starting again, Daniel began learning every night after work. He watched free lessons, he read books, he studied successful businesses, he learned about customers, he learned about marketing, he learned about money, and most importantly, he learned from his mistakes. For the next year, Daniel did not start another business. Instead, he prepared. His friends laughed at him. One friend said, "Why are you wasting your time? Your first business already failed." Another said, "Maybe business is simply not for you." Daniel said nothing. He kept learning. Because he had finally understood something important. Other people's opinions could not build his future. Only his actions could. The second chance. After 1 year of preparation, Daniel started again. This time, he did not rent an expensive shop. He started from a small room in his house. He sold his products online. At first, he had only a few customers. 5 customers, then 10, then 20. It was still difficult. There were days when nobody bought anything. There were days when Daniel wanted to quit. But every time he remembered his first failure. He remembered the empty shop. He remembered the money he had lost. And he reminded himself, I have already survived failure once. I can survive it again. So he continued. Month after month, year after year. Slowly, something changed. His small business started growing. His customers increased. His income increased. And one day, Daniel realized something incredible. He was no longer trying to become successful. He was already building success. The lesson. 10 years later, Daniel returned to the same small town where he had grown up. He visited the old store where his first business had failed. The building looked exactly the same, but Daniel was completely different. He stood outside and smiled. That little store had once been the place where he thought his dream had ended. Now he understood that it had actually been the place where his real journey began. Daniel had learned an important lesson. Failure is not always the end of the story. Sometimes failure is the chapter that teaches you how to write the next one. Maybe you are going through a difficult time right now. Maybe you failed an exam. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe your business did not work. Maybe people around you do not believe in you. But remember, Daniel, you do not need to succeed on your first attempt. You do not need to have everything figured out today. You only need to keep moving, learn from your mistakes, improve yourself, try again. And when you fall, do not ask, why did this happen to me? Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Because your current situation is not necessarily your final destination. Your story is still being written. And sometimes, one more attempt can change your entire life. So don't give up, not today. Try one more time.